Game on, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in to Box Score Media. I'm your host, Jake Keaton. It is Tuesday, November 10th, 2020. And it doesn't sound like it from my voice, but I am in a very, very good mood. Why? Because my Notre Dame Fighting Irish took care of business, did what I even think they couldn't do. They took care of number one Clemson. We'll get into that game in just a little bit. But I'd like to recap everything that happened this weekend. A lot of great sports this weekend. A lot of stuff to catch up on, and hope you enjoy the show. Without further ado, let's go back to Friday. I predicted BYU to win this game, and they did, but BYU blew out Boise State 51-17. BYU is now 8-0 on the season. Zach Wilson, BYU quarterback, he was 21 of 27, 359 yards, 2 touchdowns, looked unstoppable. BYU looks pretty good right now. Their move to the Independence has really been good. They're traveling all over the country. They're not limited to their conference. They've got a new they got like a Notre Dame vibe to them, to where they're an independent and they can kind of branch out in their recruiting, and they're looking really good this year. Boise had 2 turnovers that did them in, but this was just a beatdown. I thought it would be close. Boise only had 2 games on the season, so they clearly weren't ready for BYU, and BYU has got a chance to go undefeated. Between them and Cincinnati, I don't know. They're going to be battling for the non-Power 5 at-large bid. Number 11, Miami, beat NC State 44-41. This game was a lot closer than I thought it would be. Eric King, though, was just a one-man army. 31 of 41, 430 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He's the quarterback for Miami, if you don't know. He also had 15 carries for 105 yards. Just a one-man workhorse for Miami. NC State was able to keep it close, though. I'm so glad Notre Dame doesn't have to play Miami this year because of that offense, but defensively, I think Miami's starting to struggle a little bit. I think they're dealing with some injuries, not looking so hot right now, so it'll be interesting to see if they can even manage to possibly be in the ACC discussion at the end of the year. They're one of 3 ranked teams in the ACC right now, but they took care of business, though. A win's a win. All right, let's get to the game that I want to talk about. Why wouldn't I? Notre Dame upsets number 1 Clemson 47-40 in double overtime. Everything that I thought needed to happen for Notre Dame to win happened. I said on Friday that they needed to throw the ball down the field. They needed to take chances, and they did. They didn't do too well on third down conversions, but the third and longs, 3rd and 10 and 3rd and plus 10, I thought they did exactly what they needed to do, which was just take shots down the field. Don't try to do the 15-yard outs, the post patterns, the slants, going across the middle. I thought Clemson was very strong in that area. 3rd and long, just take a shot down the field. Throw the ball 45, 50 yards down the field. If it gets intercepted, oh well, it's like a good punt. I thought they did that a lot, and I thought that was a key factor in them winning this game, is just to take chances. I said they needed turnovers. They got 3 of them, although one of them was at the end of the game. They had the 2 fumbles, 1 for a touchdown, and I know that the first touchdown by Akusu, he was a little short, and they didn't review it, but still, 1st and goal at the half-yard line. Give them the benefit of the doubt. It was still a heck of a play. I said that they needed to run the ball between the tackles, and they did. Every single time they tried to run the ball to the outside, it was stuffed. When they tried the pop passes and the reverses, it didn't go anywhere. I knew that their strength was running it up the middle, and it was. Every time they did that, they averaged about 4 or 5 yards a game. They came out strong with the running game. Kyron Williams, 65-yard touchdown in the 2nd or 3rd play of the game. That was huge in momentum, and let Clemson know that they were going to play 4 quarters. It was a statement early, and that's what they needed to have. Kyron Williams, 23 carries, 140 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was a workhorse. He ran the ball with grit. I thought they could have used I'm gonna forget his name, but Sibo Flemester. I thought that they could have used him a lot more. He only had 1 carry for 5 yards, but Kyron Williams was a workhorse. Every time they ran the ball, they ran it with him, and they also ran it with Ian Book, which is another factor I said that Tommy Rees needed to do. Offensive coordinator, he needed to call plays where Ian Book could run the ball. Yes, he scrambled a lot and made plays with his legs that way, but there was some called runs which I thought were very crucial. There was the one where he fumbled the ball, but it was still a great play. It was a fake inside, kept it on the outside. If he doesn't fumble, it's a 1st and goal inside the 5, but he fumbled the ball. That was a mistake, but he capitalized. Clemson quarterback, DJU, 29 of 44, 439 yards, 2 touchdowns. He looked great, but this was key. Notre Dame had 208 rushing yards. Clemson only had 34. This was huge. Travis Etienne, all-time best back in the ACC, had 18 carries for 28 yards. And there wasn't a lot of blitzing. If you watched the game, they were just stacking the box and putting 5 down linemen and said, hey, let's go. Obvious run situations. We're gonna and there was 4 down linemen sometimes. And they did such a great job of keeping them one-dimensional. I think the Clark Lea's strategy for Notre Dame defensively was to get DJU to throw the ball and hope that he would throw more interceptions. But he was real clutch throwing the ball. He was on target most of the night. He did have a couple of bad passes that led to some field goals. So the Notre Dame defense was able to hold there. But for the most part, they said, we'll let him throw 300, 400 yards. They obviously didn't want it, that many yards, but they let him throw the ball a bunch, hoping that he would make mistakes. He didn't, but they kept him one-dimensional. They kept Travis Etienne out of the game. He was basically non-existent. He did have 1 touchdown, but it was inside the 5. Yeah, so they did a heck of a job defensively, even though they gave up 40 points. It was a competitive game, non-stop back and forth. With about 3 minutes left, Notre Dame's driving. This is the one. The officiating was back and forth. There was a couple of bad calls, a couple of good ones, for both teams. But when there was about 3 minutes left, Notre Dame's driving. They're down 33-26 on 3rd down and 10. They throw the ball. Ian Book drops back, throws it. The defender it's sort of bang-bang, but the defender is all over the receiver. They throw the flag, and then they have a discussion right in front of the Clemson bench. Dabo Swinney's sitting there yelling at the referees right in their ear, and they're not even telling them to get back. And then they pick up the flag and say there was no penalty. And then in the slow-mo replay, what did we see? Clearly early, clearly off, clearly all over the receiver. Made me want to puke. It was the one time I'm like, are you kidding me? You pick up the flag. How do you pick up the flag even if it's bang-bang? When they throw the flag, unless you say that the ball was tipped, which it clearly wasn't, how do you pick up the flag in that situation? That made me want to puke. The only time I was really angry the whole night was when I saw that. I thought it was over. I thought, okay, they just got robbed because there's no question. The 4th down, the guy it drops the ball. Ian Book had another. Ian Book was clutch in the 4th quarter. Forget about that fumble. He was so clutch in the 4th quarter. He was on target with his passes. The receivers made plays. Tommy Rees finally had a great game plan. Let the receivers loose, throw the ball down the field, knowing that that Clemson's got good defenders, but not great defenders. And then I thought the game was over after that, but the 3-and-out, got the ball on the 9-yard line with about a minute and something left, and he drives down the field, and about 30 seconds left, game-tying touchdown, send it to overtime. Clemson scores first. I'm thinking, this is where the Clemson scores on their 2nd play, and it should have been their 1st play. I'm thinking, oh, great, here we go. But they never gave up. Touchdown. Touchdown again from Kyron Williams. I think he had 2 in there at that point in overtime. They lead 47-40, and then, defensively stepped up on that last drive, 4th and 24. just played safe. I'm telling myself, I'm sitting there pacing in my living room, telling myself there's no reason that you can let them get it. I'm like, I do not want to see what happened against USC in 2005 when they convert a 4th and long. I said, there's no way you can allow them to convert a 4th and 24, and they didn't. The defense stepped up, created the turnover, kept him short. Fans stormed the field. I know that was horrible that the fans stormed the field, but they'll get over it. They'll get over it. I'm over it, and it was just one of the greatest moments. I was so proud of I was proud when they tied the game in the 4th quarter, because it was something that I hadn't seen from Notre Dame in years. The ability to keep fighting, keep grinding. Bad stuff happens. Hey, we got another chance. Let's do this. Let's rely on our defense to make plays. Let's let Ian Boak, who's a 3-year starter, let him go out there and win this thing. And they did, and they relied on their offensive line, ran the ball like they should have. And it was just a magical moment to see them finally get a win over a top 5 team. I don't care who was playing for Clemson. I don't care who was out for Clemson. I don't care what the circumstances was. They were number 1 for a reason. They got 5-star recruits all across the board. This was a huge win. It was a defining win. And now it's on to Boston College. They're going to be tough. They've got great receivers, and they got a quarterback that used to play for Notre Dame who's going to be very pumped up to win this one. But it was a fantastic game. Great win for the Irish. I'm so proud. Couldn't be more proud of them. Just unbelievable. So I was just so ecstatic. Couldn't believe it. Number 8, Florida defeats Georgia 44-28. This one shocked me. I thought Georgia was able to run the ball, but they did at first, but they couldn't. They got decimated by injuries on offense and defense. Stetson Bennett, Georgia's quarterback, was 5 of 16, 78 yards, and a touchdown and a pick. He just looked completely out. Georgia's offense is in trouble. They are in trouble. And they've got too good a recruiting class to be this bad. But Florida, though, wow. Key stat for me, Florida was 7 of 16 on 3rd downs. Georgia was 2 of 13. Always a key stat in football. Whoever does really, if there's a significant difference on 3rd down efficiency, there's usually a significant difference in scoring. Kyle Trask, though, Florida quarterback, 30 of 43, 474, 4 touchdowns. He did have a pick 6, but I mean, water off a log. He just was unbelievable. This Florida offense reminds me so much of the LSU offense of last year. Great quarterback, great talent on every side of on both sides of the field. Receivers, running backs, offensive line. They are just so in sync. They're so dangerous. And if Florida gets into that playoff conversation, they might be my favorite. Alabama's there too, and Florida's defense looked a heck of a lot better, but Georgia's offense, I do question Florida's defense because everybody's been able to score on them. It makes me think that Georgia's defense or Georgia's offense is just really terrible. But Florida is going to be dangerous. They are just that good. Very impressive win. They moved to 4-1 on the season. Georgia falls to 4-2. Here was the upset. Indiana over Michigan, 38-21. 3rd downs, Indiana was 9 of 18. Michigan, 3 of 11. Another key stat. Michigan had 13 rushing yards. Penix Jr., Indiana quarterback, 30 of 50, 342, 3 touchdowns. He's a workhorse. They better hope he doesn't get hurt, knock on wood, because he is the star of that team. He gives them life. He gives them hope. Michigan, I don't know what they do now. They did have some offensive linemen hurt. They had to shuffle some things around. We'll see if they can. They've been known to do this before, though, to rebound after a tough loss. But if they can't do it this year, Jim Harbaugh's going to be on the hot seat, and then he might not last. If they continue to, and the Big Ten right now, talk about a shift. Maryland's looking great. They beat Penn State. Northwestern's undefeated. Nebraska's not making any progress. Ohio State's the most dominant team. But I'm going to tell you this. Justin Field and the receivers is why they are so good. Defensively, they do have flaws. I think Rutgers had almost 350 yards of total offense, and it's only Rutgers. They're going to be improving, but I think Ohio State might be a little They're the best team for sure, but they're not, and they're going to run through the Big Ten. But I think it's because the Big Ten's down. I'm not trusting Indiana. I'm not trusting Maryland, even though they're better. And they could give Ohio State fits. But I'm not sold on Ohio State being perfect yet. They don't look like they looked last year. They look a little sluggish. But again, it's 3 games into the season. If they continue to progress and get better defensively, they're going to roll over everybody. I don't see anybody beating them. Here's a good game. USC starting the Pac-12 off with a win. They beat Arizona State 28-27. USC scored 2 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes, 30 seconds. USC had 4 turnovers, and Arizona State had 3. Sloppy game. At one point, it was 4th down and 13, I think, from the Arizona State 30-yard line. USC had the ball. Arizona State was 2.5 left. Arizona State had a 99.9% chance to win. 99.9. USC converted the 4th down touchdown onside kick, and then converted another 4th down for a touchdown to win the game 28-27. And that's a theme I've seen this year in football, professional and college, is teams just simply giving up and just not closing, not finishing. So that was probably one of the most entertaining games besides the Notre Dame game. And a couple other games happened. Arkansas beats Tennessee. But for most part, favorite teams win. Cincinnati blew out Houston, so Cincinnati's looking really good. They can sneak into the playoff picture. Top 4 right now is Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Clemson. We'll see what happens. I do not want to play. Hopefully Clemson can maybe get upset and Notre Dame can win out. Otherwise, if Clemson plays Notre Dame again with Trevor Lawrence and healthy defense, healthy offense, I am not liking Notre Dame's chances in that rematch. They can be competitive if they're healthy, but I do not like them to win that one just because, oh man, it's going to be bad. They are going to be wanting that one. So it was a great weekend for college football. Great weekend for Chase Elliott. He won the NASCAR championship. I think it's the Monster Energy Series. He failed the pre-race inspection, had to start from the back. It was the last race at Phoenix. NASCAR's gone downhill anyway because of the lack of sponsorship. I mean, if you watch a NASCAR race, more than half of the seats are empty. It's just a sport that's dying. With basketball going up, disc golf, small sports like that, getting better. Football is what it is. And I'm not talking about just this year, like last year, years before. They can't keep consistent sponsorship. They don't really have any stars. They don't have anybody that's eye-opening stars. But he wins. He failed the pre-race inspection, started from the back, came back, won the thing. 24 years old, wins the NASCAR championship. Heck of a job. I think he's the youngest to ever win it, or one of the youngest. So congratulations, Chase Elliott. In a sport, I think it's the longest running sport too. It starts in February, goes all the way into November, every single weekend. So crazy, but congratulations, Chase Elliott. In the PDGA, disc golf. Speaking of disc golf, I got to get this out of the way. I happened to hit my first ace yesterday afternoon. I worked, got off, went to my local course. Hole 5, par 3, 210 feet. Took out my Innova Valkyrie. Just did one step. I didn't do my 3-step walk-up. I knew that if I put too much on it, I'd probably be hitting the trees, going through the woods. Little flex shot, and I knew I hit my line perfect, but I had no idea it was going to go in. Heard the chains and I could only see the right side of the basket. Saw the chains wobble. I'm thinking, no way. Ran up about 20 feet, saw the basket. It was still in there. I was like, wow. And, of course, nobody was around to see it. But I was there, and I recorded my first disc golf ace, 210 feet. Couldn't believe it. I was ecstatic. Best shot I ever threw by hand. I mean, of course. Last 2 days, I had a 134-foot birdie at one course, then a 210-foot ace. So my disc golf game is getting really good, really consistent. Very proud of myself. But Veterans Park Open in Arlington, Texas. Greg Barsby gets it done. Shoots -29. For the tournament, round 1, he shot a 45. Round 2, a 68. Round 3, a 72. The wind picked up the last couple days, made it very difficult for these players. But Greg Barsby, who won the 2018 Pro Tour Championship, he gets a big win. Followed him was Emerson Keith, Matt Bell, Mason Ford, and Bradley Williams. Congratulations, guys. It was a points thing. I don't think they did a playoff because Emerson Keith and Barsby both had -29, but it was like, I don't know, some kind of points thing that he ended up taking the trophy. Congratulations. It's one of the last 3 events of the year. And he's a big name. Like I said, former Pro Tour champion. Good to see him get a win. All right, let's move on to the NFL, shall we? Sunday's games. Falcons over the Broncos 34-27. Bills take care of the Seahawks 44-34. I thought the Bills would win this one. I didn't think they'd put up the numbers that they did. Josh Allen, well, has he proven everybody wrong? 31 of 38, 415, 3 touchdowns, looked unstoppable. He's just become this quarterback that gets it. He's got the system. He's in the perfect system. The Bills have been rebuilding for years. They're looking good. They're going to win the AFC East, and they're going to be tough to beat. I don't think they go anywhere, but they'll give some teams. They might be like one of those teams, if they can play solid defense. Who knows? Seahawks had 4 turnovers. They pretty much were statistically, this game was pretty much even, but the 4 turnovers really did Seattle in. 2 picks, 2 fumbles. Can't recover from it. So the Bills moved to 7-2 on the season. Titans beat the Bears 24-17. Titans are now 6-2 on the season. They're going to win. I think they might win the AFC South, depending on what the Colts do. But the Titans look really strong. Still look good defensively. The Bears scored 17 in the 4th quarter, so the game was already out of hand. Little brother points, I call them. Ravens take care of the Colts 24-10. I thought the Ravens would bounce back after the game against Pittsburgh, and they did, and they looked good. They still look like the second best team in the AFC. Vikings over the Lions 34-20. Chiefs over the Panthers 33-31. Mahomes 30 of 45, 372, 4 touchdowns. I mean, what else can you say about him besides he's the best quarterback in the league? Bridgewater 36 of 49, 310, 2 touchdowns. He's still doing good, but the Panthers are close, and I think Matt Rule's a good coach. But the Panthers just 3-6 on the season. They've lost a lot of close ones. They had to have 4 or 5 games within one score. So they're going to be rebuilding. If they can figure out the quarterback situation, get Christian McCaffrey healthy, come around, get some defensive draft picks, they're going to be pretty darn good. Giants over Washington 23-20. Texans beat the Jaguars 27-25. Jacksonville did the same thing they always do. They start off slow. Their quarterback Jason Lutton or something like that, I don't even know. Backup quarterback Gardner Minshew's hurt. He had pretty decent day. He didn't play like a rookie. He played like an amateur. Just couldn't. They can never close out. Score with about 30 seconds left. Fail the 2-point conversion. Texans win. Jacksonville's still holding on to that 1 win against the Colts first game of the season. Now they're just playing for draft picks. I don't see them. I mean, why try anymore? When you're officially eliminated from the playoffs at a 1-7 record, you're the worst team. You're with the second worst team in the AFC. What else do you have to play for? Start tanking, get a good draft pick, get another quarterback. Raiders over the Chargers 31-26. Steelers over the Cowboys 24-19. Shockingly, Pittsburgh had to come back in this game. Dallas, though, really did them in was penalties. They had 7 penalties compared to Pittsburgh's 3. They had 70 yards of penalties. Pittsburgh only had 16. Dallas had 2 turnovers. Other than that, they were statistically better than Pittsburgh everywhere. They just did themselves in. They really could have used this one. They fought at 2-7 on the season. It's embarrassing. It's disgraceful. Pittsburgh remains undefeated, but like I said, they're good, but they're not great. And plus, Big Ben, we heard, is on the COVID watch list. Who knows when he's going to be back? Pittsburgh's good, but they're not great. I still got to go with the Chiefs as the best team in the NFL. Dolphins over the Cardinals, 34-31. Tua gets a little revenge on Kyler Murray. Remember that in college, Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa went at it for the Heisman. Kyler Murray ended up beating him for it. So now Tua gets a little revenge in the pros. Congratulations, he's 2-0 as a starter. Saints over the Buccaneers, 38-3. Of course, this was the shocking one. Brady throws 3 picks, 31-0 at halftime. Drew Brees was lights out. He had like 300-something yards, 4 touchdowns. Total yards, New Orleans had 420, Tampa Bay 194. I mean, you talk about a beatdown. And this was a revenge game. Tampa Bay loses first game to New Orleans. They're playing at home, and this is what you got? I don't know. I think Brady had some of the worst. Brady reminded me of Brett Favre in terms of just trying to do too much. He used to be the guy that could trust his receivers. He's got a good receiving core, but I don't know if he can trust them. They're obviously not on the same page. Gronk's not stepping up. Antonio Brown did nothing in his return. Mike Evans did good, but he needs other weapons, and he doesn't have them. He's still a great quarterback. Tom Brady's still a great quarterback, but he's not nearly as consistent, accurate as he once was. And now he's sitting there making decisions that he's never made. He's always been the most careful quarterback with the ball, but now with the pick sixes he's had, 3 touchdowns in this game, looking really, really bad throws. I think he's starting to get. I think the nervousness is starting to creep up in him. I think his confidence is a little shattered now. He's not comfortable right now. He's good, but he's not comfortable, and that's where he needs to be. He's always going to have a chip on his shoulder, but if he's not playing at ease and careful and making the great decisions, I don't know. I don't think they can compete, and they might even make it to the NFC Championship game. I think that might be the Packers and Saints doing that right there. And finally, Monday Night Football. Patriots over the Jets, 38-27. Of course, the Patriots had to come from behind to beat the Jets. Typical. I've seen this so many times. 10-point lead for the Jets, fourth quarter. And then just touchdown, get the ball back after a 3-and-out, touchdown. Or it was a game-winning field goal, 51-yarder. I've seen that so many times this year. Teams just blowing 10-point leads. Blowing leads really late in the game, like about the 2-minute mark. Just come on. There's nobody who can be clutch anymore. There's no quarterback that's got the confidence, and the coaches don't have the confidence. They always try to have the other team burn their timeouts instead of trying to get the first downs and drive and keep driving. Just keep being aggressive. If it's working throughout the game, it's got to work in the fourth quarter. I've seen this way too many times this year. If you're not aggressive till the very end, if you're trying not to win, if you're trying not to lose, you're not going to try to win, and you won't win. And Jets remain the only winless team at 0-9. So great football this weekend. The game, my podcast on Friday, I'll be going over I'll give you some soccer scores. If there's any disc golf results, I'll bring them up, and then I'll recap the Thursday night football game between the Colts and Titans. Here's the thing, I just learned today that I'll probably be going to the Colts game November 29th against the Titans. That's in Indianapolis. For this game in Tennessee Thursday night, I would hate for the Colts to win this one and then lose when I go to the game in Indianapolis. So I'm going to have to go ahead and take the Titans in this one, hoping that they just squeak it out and Colts get revenge. But with Derrick Henry having a subpar game, I think he's due for a breakout game. So I think I'll take the Titans in this one. I'll go ahead and throw up a score 28-21. And the Colts score a touchdown late. I think the Titans are a 2-point favorite. So I'm going to say that they cover and win it by 7, 28-21. Colts score a late touchdown to kind of, make it a little bit closer than it really is. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, great football, great disc golf by me, great disc golf by Greg Barsby. Congratulations, Chase Elliott, winning the NASCAR, putting the season to a close. It's a good thing to talk about NASCAR other than racial issues because that's all they bring up on the major networks. I don't do that stuff here. I talk sports. I talk statistics. I talk games. I talk recaps and predictions. I do what needs to be said. I know everybody's looking forward to that, and that's what I'm giving you. So remember to tune in. This was a Tuesday. I had a lot of stuff going on yesterday, but the show will most likely be uploaded every Monday and Friday. Monday I'll give predictions for the stuff throughout the week, and then cover the games over the weekend. And Friday, cover the games throughout the week, give predictions for the weekend. Okay, sound good? Thank you. And I am tapped out, ladies and gentlemen, and I will catch you on Friday, players.